Okay, so I'm going to go over this because I saw in the entrance ticket a lot of you are only testing for what you already know. Like you already think this has a certain type of symmetry. Uh, but if you're asked to test for symmetry, you have to do all three tests. Okay, you have to do test number one. We're going to check for symmetry with respect to the polar axis. You need to do test number two. Check for symmetry with respect to the vertical line theta equals pi over 2. And you need to do test number three. Check for symmetry with respect to the pole, the origin. Okay. Even though you kind of know already what kind of symmetry this is going to have, you need to do all three. Because on the quiz or test, you know what, I'm going to give you maybe something that's like secant squared sine. Well, you probably already know that, but I'll give you something that you might not know just by looking at it. Okay. Or just in case, why not? No, well, also because that's the rules. When you're asked to test for symmetry, you need to do all three. Okay, so for the first test, you replace theta with negative theta. And you notice that because cosine is an even function, that's the same thing as for cosine of theta over 2. Therefore, symmetry with respect to the polar axis. So therefore, you can conclude polar axis symmetry. Okay. Test number two, you have to replace theta with pi minus theta. Remember, we came up with a new and better test. So r equals 4 cosine pi minus theta all over 2. That is 4 cosine of pi over 2 minus theta over 2, which simplifies into 4 cosine. Remember, it goes cosine, cosine, sine, sine. So cosine, cosine, sine, sine, and then switchy sign in the middle. So cosine of pi over 2 is 0. Sine of pi over 2 is 1. So we're left with 4 times the sine of theta over 2, which is not the same as the original, so we cannot conclude symmetry with respect to the line theta equals pi over 2. So far we can only conclude polar axis symmetry. And then the last test, r equals 4 cosine, replace r with negative r, and then solve for r. We do not get the same thing, so we cannot make that conclusion. So sad face here. The only conclusion we can come up with is polar axis symmetry. Okay, you have to do all three tests. All right, see you later.